Hey everybody, Coach here. Thanks for taking a couple minutes and joining me. Hey, I want to draw a couple of comparables for you today, and you'll find out towards the end of the video exactly where these comparables come together. But let's start off with this. I would like you to imagine just a little bit about the house you live in right now. Think about for just a minute all of the facets, elements, and step-by-step processes that have to go into building that house that you fall asleep in every single day, okay? Now, can you imagine that same house, you're the one that you live in, imagine if the builder, the architect, the subcontractors didn't go about the right steps. Maybe they decided to not put in a level foundation. Maybe they decided to only wire 2 out of the 3 bedrooms. Maybe the plumbing didn't get completely soldered in the master bathroom shower. So, you get home after a long day. You walk in that house and you're able to flip on the lights right next to you so you can get to the back of the house. When you get to the back of the house, man, it's been a long day. I think I'm going to take a refreshing shower. Now, you take that refreshing shower, then you go to the kitchen and open up that very cold refrigerator and you pull out a beer or a glass of wine or your beverage of choice, and you want to go sit down and watch the news or the television or whatever. Now, imagine if all those processes just weren't paid attention to. Would you have very much of a usable home? Well, what we're talking about today is a complete thought approach to landscaping and how that same step-by-step processes and a great acronym for you to remember on how to approach your landscape project, whether you're doing it yourself, which I always strongly encourage, or you have someone do it as well. Hey, I'm Matt, call me Coach. I'm so glad you're here. Hope you guys had a great holiday this weekend. I would love to get this thing started. Maestro, step away from the chocolate bunny leftovers and let's get this thing going. We got work to do. Hey, I'm Matt and you can call me Coach. Hey, you know, for over the past 20 plus years, I have been a successful landscape designer, landscape contractor, retail nursery manager, educator, and college educated in ornamental horticulture. And what I think that really does for you guys is I bring a wealth of knowledge and experience to you, the new, modern, self-reliant, educated homeowner of today. So, what we're going to talk about today is the acronym called LIMBPAWN. L-I-M-B-P-A-W-N. Write it down, put it in your phone, I don't care, just memorize it. And as the acronym comes through what I'm telling you here today, you'll see why it's an easy acronym to remember. So when you're talking about a landscape project, you start off with L. L is for where you live or what your location is. You know, I've had a lot of people, especially vocational transplants over the years, where they've come from South Texas or Miami, and now they were up in Northern California, and they were totally lost as far as what to do and what works, and, you know, does this ground freeze, you know, or how come I can't plant a split leaf philodendron outside? It is very, very important that you wrap your head around where you're at, especially if you get moved to a new area where you've never lived before. If you're buying a house that's 6 blocks away from where you grew up, okay, it's not as applicable, but not everybody has that, right? So keep in mind that first letter of LIMBPAWN, and that's location. Where your latitudes in the world are, what USDA or whatever zone you're in, where you're at, keep those things in mind. What are the average temperatures? What is the average rain or snowfall? All these things come together when you start talking about outdoor living areas and landscapes for your yard. Okay, let's talk about the I in LIMBPAWN. We are talking about issues. Issues within your residential landscape, whether it already exists or it's a brand new yard and you have to address issues. And when I say issues, I'm not talking about a few weeds. I'm talking about issues that could threaten your dwelling and the safety and usability of your property. One of the biggest issues that I address all the time online is drainage issues. Drainage issues are a property killer if you don't take care of them. And it's amazing when I listen and watch people online when they have the desire to put in X, and it's a want. We'll talk about those in a few minutes. They have a desire to put in this, but I can't because of this standing pond that is developed in that area. Well, you're not going to put in X if you have this major issue that you have to address. All the time I preach to people, address the major issues that exist. Maybe it's a 50-foot maple tree that is threatening your dwelling or your fence line or your neighbor's house, and it's something that you want to avoid any sort of litigation issues and stuff, so you've got to get on it. You have to take care of that issue immediately, and that's something that I always like people to do. You know, you may have a weed issue when you first move in, and you can get on those. It doesn't take a rocket science on how to eliminate the issue of weeds. You can spray them, you can hoe them, you can rototill them under, you can do anything until you're ready to do your actual project. So keep in mind issues. The M in LIMBPAWN is all about the level of maintenance desire that you have for your landscape. Is it something where, you know something, Matt, I'd rather pull my toenails out rather than mow lawn every week. It's just not me. I don't like it. I don't want to do it. Okay, so when you're thinking about this new landscape, you know that you're not going to have 2,000 square feet of lawn. Maybe you're going to have a lawnless landscape, and you're going to address that maintenance issue through that. You know, all winter long, I traveled through the desert Southwest, and I saw all kinds of nearly no maintenance yards. They were basically gravel with sedums and cactus and decomposed gravel tops, some lighting, maybe a couple of large cactuses and that kind of stuff. That was it. Not only does that address the maintenance issue, that's for darn sure, but it's also very, very conducive to the location where they're at. So there was some thought put into that kind of stuff. So remember where you're at on that scale of 1 to 10 on maintenance applicability, the weekly, the monthly, and the annual. Where do you want to be on that? And is the maintenance the same for you as it is for your significant other? Okay, coming up on the B of LIMBPAWN. This is probably the biggest hurdle everybody has to get over and get past. And I talked about it in last week's video. And that is the budget. I'll put a link to the video right here. This particular topic, budget, is a landscape dream maker or a landscape dream killer. You know, I have almost cried with clients over the years who have saved, borrowed, scrimped, and stole to get their down payments and to get into their first house or their bigger house, whatever it takes. Then, after all that, then when it comes to, okay, now what do we do about that hellacious backyard or that no backyard at all? You know, there wasn't the thought process, and they stand there in front of me and they just basically pull their pants pockets inside out going, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to get over on this existing landscape or to install a new one when we have a mortgage every month and taxes twice a year that we have to save and watch and budget for. So the budget also comes down to what is your budget versus your significant other's budget. And where is there a common ground and a realism when it comes to the budget? You know, sometimes people, I'm a pretty frugal guy. And if you ask my wife, she'll call me basically a tight ass, okay? But I know that when it came to landscaping budgets, I was always in the realistic realm because that was the world I lived in. I knew that I couldn't go out and spend $100,000 on a brand new cement driveway from the street to my house to my shop, because it just wasn't in my budget, period. You know, I could have done it, but I would have taken away from other facets of my life for concrete. Hence, I did it myself, and I put in gravel. And quite frankly, the gravel was just as nice, if not nicer, than the concrete. I didn't have tire and wheel marks everywhere. I didn't have drive patterns, and I was able to replace it and refresh it when I needed to. So budget and how it applies to your landscape project is something that has to be solidified, and generally solidified early on. Like, you know, you put an offer in on the house, but before you did, you took a look at what improvements were going to be needed, drastically needed. And did that affect your offer? Did that affect the price? And now maybe you talked them down $30,000 and you qualified for $30,000 more. So maybe your budget will come from that savings right there. If you qualify for a little bit more, you've got some cash after closing. Now you can apply it to your landscaping. Just some creative thinking, that's all. Okay, moving on to the P in LIMBPAWN. P is a determination of the purpose. What purpose are you going to have for this landscape? A lot of people at various stages in life, their purpose for their yard and their landscape are much different than someone who is 40 years older, or someone who's in their 60s, comparing their purpose of the yard to someone who's 25 with a brand new baby and a puppy. Okay, so you really have to sit down. Is your purpose for your landscape going to be strictly entertaining family and friends? You guys are big socialites and big partiers, and you need to have a yard that caters to that. So you have large patios and shade arbors and outdoor music and great ambiance in the evening, maybe with lighting and water features and sound, etc. So what is the purpose of the landscape going to be? Is it going to be to provide food for your family? Because you don't want to buy the unripened or artificially ripened fruit in the stores anymore. So now you're going to have a few fruit trees and berries and vegetable garden and all that kind of stuff, and you're going to have a much more sustainable landscape. Maybe it's going to be a blend of both ornamental and sustainable. Then the purpose of the landscape is, heck, you're traveling on business 3 weeks out of every month. You're hardly going to be there. You know that you're going to be located in this particular area for less than 5 years. Do you think you want to throw a $150,000 landscape in the yard? I wouldn't. So maybe we just want just the basics. Just the basics. And with those basics, all the needs are met for resale down the road. Okay, you got a patio, you got some grass, you got a couple of trees, everything is well kept. Maybe you have professional care coming in once a week to maintain it because you're flying across the country or the world on business, because that's how you make your living. So determine the purpose, the exact purpose of what it's going to be. And don't be surprised that if this is a long-term house, a long-term dwelling, the purpose of the landscape will evolve and change as your age marches on. What used to be a play area is now a vegetable garden. What used to be a vegetable garden is now a she shed for art and crafts and stuff. Or, you know, if it's a guy's place and you've taken up fly fishing and now you want to tie flies out in your man cave out there, it will change and evolve. So keep in mind the P, purpose, in LIMBPAWN. Okay, coming up on the next one, the A. The A stands for action. And when I'm talking action, I'm talking about the ability to take all the due diligence, all the research, all the dreaming, all the Pinterest browsing and Google image browsing, and turn it into action. Action that is going to move a project forward, that you can see actionable progress taking place. You can look at that stuff all weekend long, but if you don't do anything with it, it's never going to turn out anything more than what it is, out front or out back, plain and simple, okay? So action is something that I want you to start out small. Research really small projects, small home improvements, and then grow on that and make sure your actions are bigger and bigger and bigger. Guarantee you, you will feel so much better. It will empower you to research and then take action on it, okay? All right, the last two I'm gonna group together, the W and the N of LIMBPAWN. These are your wants and your needs. I cannot tell you over the decades how many times I have sat at the proverbial kitchen table and talked to clients and listened to their wants and their needs. And usually, like more than 50%, their wants are always bigger than their needs. I have come into landscape makeovers and new landscapes where I have seen the issues in their yard, and then I've heard their wants and no desire to address their needs until it is really pointed out. And they give me that proverbial, oh, you mean I can't? Oh, you can, but you have to do A, B, and C first and correct these issues before you can get that want. And that's what I want to talk about, is when we deal with wants and needs, guys, I really want you to pay attention to the needs first. Pay attention to the potential emergency needs, obviously. Soil erosions and bad drainage and those things are a need. You need to address them. Okay, just like I said in issues. Address all those needs and get them satisfied. What kind of soil do you have? Do you need to really address the soil because the plants you want are going to need a tremendous amount of soil amendment, and the turf that you want to put in requires quite a bit of soil amending, and the grading that you're going to need is going to require a little bit of power equipment. Then once you get all that satisfied, then you can go off into your plant wants and your outdoor living area wants and your landscape luxury item wants. Pretty easy, but take care of the needs first. Needs always before wants. So let's wrap this up. When you're buying a home or you're in your home, I would love for you to take a few weeks, if not a few months, and really do some research and some due diligence. That is the golden hour of opportunity, and not when you suddenly wake up one Saturday and want to go out there and start weeding, digging, hoeing, and doing all that other stuff when you really haven't thought out all those LIMBPAWN issues. That is very, very important, and it'll make it so much more enjoyable. If you put in a little mental energy, it will save you so much physical energy and mental anguish down the road. I don't want to see anybody get stuck on a DIY project. I don't want to see anybody get stuck if they've hired the wrong person because they really didn't do their due diligence in their hiring process. So think about those things as well. Hey, I'm Matt, you can call me Coach. I hope you got a little bit out of this. The complete thought approach to landscaping is a critical part of planning and getting the job done right the first time. Hey, if you would like a little bit of help and you'd like to help out this old landscaper, hey, consider checking out our new website, youryardcoach.com. I put up a new ebook out there, pretty inexpensive. Check it out, hope you like it, hope you get it, and then tell a friend about it too. I would greatly appreciate the support. And check out Homescape 1.0. It is right around the corner. We had to work some technical difficulties out, but we are on the verge. You'll probably see the release next week. Guys, I have appreciated you. Stay until the end. Don't forget LIMBPAWN, LIMBPAWN, and what it stands for. Go back and watch this over and over if you really want it to solidify. I will catch you guys next Friday, every Friday, and check out the podcast as well. Plan of the week is coming up darn quick. I hope you take a look at it, and I will see you next week. Take care.